Welcome to the English Story Channel, a place to learn English and practice English. Please subscribe to the channel to watch our great videos. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel English Story, where faith, love, and wisdom meet. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and comment below so we can continue bringing you even more amazing stories. Discover the extraordinary life of William Shakespeare, the legendary English playwright whose timeless words continue to inspire generations. From his humble beginnings in Stratford-upon-Avon to the stages of London, explore his wisdom, creativity, and life lessons that remain relevant for young minds today. Humble beginnings do not define your future. William Shakespeare was born in a small house in Stratford-upon-Avon, far from the grand world of kings, queens, and noble families he would one day write about. His father was a glove maker, and his mother came from a farming family. Nothing in his early life suggested greatness, yet he allowed curiosity, observation, and imagination to guide him. Shakespeare teaches us that the place where we begin does not limit the place we can go. What matters is how deeply we learn, how boldly we dream, and how courageously we step into the life we want to create. Education isn't everything, but learning is unlike many great thinkers of his era. Shakespeare never attended university. His formal schooling ended early, but his education continued through books, listening, observing people, and absorbing life around him. He reminds us that true learning is not confined to classrooms. It comes from watching human emotions, studying behaviors, asking questions, and staying endlessly curious. Shakespeare's life shows that someone without a degree can still become a master of language, a giant of literature, and a voice remembered for centuries if they commit to lifelong learning and refuse to let limitations define their potential. Turn everyday life into art. Shakespeare's greatest strength was his ability to transform ordinary human experiences into unforgettable stories. He watched people argue, fall in love, struggle, and laugh, and he turned these moments into plays that shaped world literature. His gift teaches us a powerful lesson. Beauty is hidden in the everyday. When we pay attention to conversations, emotions, and the small details around us, we find inspiration. Shakespeare invites us to slow down, observe life carefully, and turn even the simplest moments into something meaningful, whether through creativity, storytelling, or the way we share wisdom with the world. Words can change the world. Shakespeare understood the extraordinary power of language. Through his plays and poems, he reshaped English itself, creating over 1,700 new words and expressions still used today. He teaches us that words are not just sounds. They are tools that can heal, inspire, persuade, or transform the way people think. In a world where communication is often rushed or careless, Shakespeare reminds us to choose our words with intention and heart. Speaking with clarity, honesty, and imagination can open doors, build relationships, and leave a legacy that survives long after we are gone. Creativity requires courage. In an age when art had strict rules, Shakespeare dared to break them. He blended comedy with tragedy, mixed poetry with raw emotion, and created characters more complex than any written before. His bravery teaches us that great creativity comes from taking risks, challenging old patterns, and trusting our unique voice. When we dare to be different, even when others doubt or criticize, we discover our true potential. Shakespeare shows that innovation begins the moment we stop copying the world and start expressing what only we can see. Failure is part of the journey. Not all of Shakespeare's plays were instant successes. Some were criticized, misunderstood, or ignored during his lifetime. Yet he continued writing, improving, and experimenting. His persistence reminds us that failure is not a sign to stop, but a step toward mastery. When we fail, we learn. When we keep going, we grow. Shakespeare teaches us never to let temporary setbacks overshadow long-term dreams. Greatness is built not through perfection, but through resilience and the courage to rise after every disappointment. Observe human nature. Deeply, Shakespeare's genius came from understanding the human heart, its fears, desires, jealousy, love, ambition, and weakness. He watched people carefully, listening to their stories and feeling their emotions. This ability allowed him to write characters so real that audiences still see themselves in them 400 years later. Shakespeare teaches us the importance of empathy and observation. When we truly understand people, not judge them, but understand them, we become wiser, kinder, and better equipped to navigate life. Human nature is the greatest teacher, if we take the time to notice it. Honor the power of imagination. Living in a time without movies or technology, Shakespeare used pure imagination to create worlds filled with kings, ghosts, fairies, shipwrecks, and magic. He reminds us that imagination is not childish. It is a powerful force that shapes our future. Everything begins with a picture in the mind, a dream, a vision, a possibility. Shakespeare teaches that when we allow our imagination to grow, instead of shrinking it under fear or doubt, we unlock creativity, innovation, and the courage to make the impossible possible. Adapt to change boldly. Shakespeare lived in a fast-changing world. New politics, new beliefs, new audiences. Instead of resisting, he adapted. He wrote for different theaters, different actors, and different types of crowds. His flexibility helped him survive and succeed. Shakespeare teaches us that in life, those who adapt thrive. Change is not the enemy, it is the path to growth. When we open our minds, adjust our strategies, and evolve with time, we stay relevant, resilient, and ready for new opportunities. Leave a legacy of meaning, not perfection. Shakespeare never imagined he would become the greatest writer in English literature. He simply wrote with passion, honesty, and love for storytelling. His life teaches that legacy is not created by seeking fame, but by doing meaningful work with dedication. What we build with heart will outlive us. Shakespeare reminds us that we don't need to be perfect to make a difference. We just need to contribute something real, something human, something that touches the lives of others. That is the true measure of greatness. Greatness grows from consistency, not luck. Shakespeare did not become a legend overnight. He wrote continually. Comedy, tragedy, history, poetry, no matter what challenges appeared around him. His career proves that success is not an event, but a habit. Day by day, he sharpened his craft, improved his language, and explored new themes. The world remembers his brilliance, but behind that brilliance were countless hours of disciplined effort. Shakespeare teaches young people that talent becomes extraordinary only when paired with consistency. Greatness is built through steady work, through showing up every day, and through refusing to let comfort replace commitment. Listen to the world and it will teach you. Shakespeare's sensitivity came from listening to people in markets, taverns, family disputes, royal stories, and everyday conversations. He absorbed accents, emotions, fears, and dreams. This listening allowed him to write characters from all walks of life, from kings to commoners. He teaches us that the world is full of lessons waiting to be heard. When we listen carefully, not just with our yay, but with our hearts, we understand others more deeply, speak more wisely, and create more meaning. The greatest storytellers and leaders in life are often the greatest listeners. Embrace emotion as a source of strength. In Shakespeare's time, expressing emotions, especially for men, was often seen as weakness. Yet Shakespeare wrote openly about heartbreak, jealousy, grief, joy, longing, and love. He showed that to feel deeply is to live fully. Emotion became the fuel behind his masterpieces. Today, his work reminds us that vulnerability is not a flaw, but a doorway to connection and creativity. When we let ourselves feel honestly, we understand ourselves better and communicate more authentically. Shakespeare teaches us that emotion, when channeled with purpose, becomes one of the most powerful forces in human life. Creativity thrives beyond comfort. Shakespeare left his hometown and moved to London, a bold, uncertain decision that transformed his life. In London, he faced competition, financial risk, and an unfamiliar world, but he embraced the challenge. That courage opened the door to his greatest achievements. His journey teaches us that growth begins the moment we step outside comfort. Staying safe may feel secure, but stepping into the unknown leads to discovery. Shakespeare invites us to take the journeys that scare us, because our future is often waiting on the other side of discomfort. Learn from the darkness as much as the light. Shakespeare experienced hardship. The death of his son, Hamnet, outbreaks of plague that closed theaters, political censorship, and public criticism. Instead of breaking him, these struggles deepened his insight into human nature. His tragedies, Hamlet, Macbeth, Othello, reflect this understanding of suffering. Shakespeare teaches that life's darker moments can shape us in profound ways. When we face pain, we gain empathy, wisdom, and strength. Hardship does not destroy a strong spirit, it refines it. The world's greatest art often grows from the world's deepest wounds. Observe before you act. Shakespeare crafted characters who think deeply. Hamlet questions his world, Brutus debates morality, Prospero reflects on forgiveness. These characters mirror Shakespeare's belief in reflection. He teaches us to pause, think, and observe before making decisions. Many of life's mistakes come from rushing. When we take time to understand a situation, emotions settle, clarity rises, and wiser choices appear. Shakespeare's life and writing remind us that observation is not hesitation. It is intelligence in action. Silence, reflection, and thoughtful judgment are powerful tools for navigating a complex world. Honor, friendship, and collaboration. Even a genius like Shakespeare did not work alone. He collaborated with actors, playwrights, and theater owners. Friends like Richard Burbage brought his characters to life. Colleagues in the Lord Chamberlain's Men helped refine his plays. He teaches us that no matter how talented we are, we need others to complete our vision. Collaboration enriches creativity and multiplies impact. Shakespeare's success was a shared journey, reminding us that relationships are among life's greatest resources. When we support others and allow them to support us, our work grows stronger. Write your own path, not someone else's. Shakespeare lived in an era full of rules, strict social classes, rigid expectations, and traditional roles. Instead of obeying every boundary, he carved his own path. He blended genres, wrote unconventional characters, and reimagined storytelling. His courage teaches us that following the crowd rarely leads to greatness. When we listen to our inner voice, we discover our unique path. Whether in art, career, or personal life, Shakespeare reminds us to break free from expectations and create a life that reflects who we truly are. Respect the power of time. Shakespeare understood the fleeting nature of time. Many of his sonnets explore how time shapes beauty, memory, and human life. He worked with urgency and purpose, knowing that time does not wait. His discipline teaches us to value each moment. Time lost cannot be reclaimed, but time invested becomes legacy. Shakespeare invites us to spend our days wisely, learning, creating, serving, and loving, so that when our stories end, they are filled with meaning. Time is the silent co-author of every life. How we use it determines the quality of our story. Let curiosity guide you to mastery. Shakespeare was endlessly curious. He explored history, politics, psychology, mythology, and everyday life. This curiosity enriched his plays and allowed him to write with astonishing depth. He teaches young people that mastery begins with curiosity. When we ask questions, explore new fields, and remain open to new ideas, our minds expand. Curiosity turns learning into adventure and knowledge into power. Shakespeare's brilliance was not just talent, it was curiosity in action, a reminder that the more we learn, the more capable we become. Find beauty in complexity. Shakespeare did not simplify life. He embraced its complexity. His characters are flawed, conflicted, and human. By exploring their contradictions, he showed that people are never just one thing. He teaches us to accept complexity in ourselves and others. Understanding human layers makes us wiser and more compassionate. Instead of judging, we learn to appreciate depth. Shakespeare reminds us that beauty is often found in the complexity of the human heart. Opportunity often comes disguised as challenge. The plague forced theaters to shut down repeatedly. Instead of giving up, Shakespeare used this time to write long poems like Venus and Adonis. This adaptability teaches us that obstacles often hide opportunities. When life blocks one path, another opens, if we are willing to look. Challenges push us to grow, think differently, and create new possibilities. Stay humble. even at the height of success. Though Shakespeare became wealthy and respected, he lived quietly and avoided arrogance. He returned to Stratford, invested in his community, and cared for his family. His humility teaches that true greatness does not need to declare itself. Success is strongest when it is carried with kindness and gratitude. Let love be a central force in life. Shakespeare wrote passionately about love, its beauty, its pain, its power to heal and transform. Romeo and Juliet, Sonnet 18, Twelfth Night, all show his deep understanding of love's influence. He teaches us that love, in many forms, is essential for a meaningful life. Stand for truth, even in difficult times. Many of Shakespeare's plays challenge political and social issues carefully but bravely. Through history plays and tragedies, he explored power, corruption, and justice. He teaches us that truth is worth speaking, even when risky. Integrity gives strength to our voice and value to our work. Observe without judging. Shakespeare wrote kings and beggars with equal empathy. He didn't mock human weakness. He revealed it gently. This approach teaches us to observe people without rushing to judge. Everyone carries struggles unseen. Empathy brings understanding and deeper connections. Imagination builds worlds that reality cannot. Shakespeare's stage was small, yet he created entire kingdoms, storms, battles, and magical worlds using only words. His life teaches us that imagination gives power beyond physical limits. When we dream boldly, we create realities that once seemed impossible. Forgiveness frees the heart. In plays like The Tempest, Shakespeare emphasized forgiveness as a higher strength than revenge. Prospero chooses mercy over retaliation. Shakespeare teaches us that forgiveness liberates both heart and mind, allowing life to move forward with peace. Know your weakness, and you will find your strength. Shakespeare created characters whose weaknesses shaped their destinies. Macbeth's ambition, Othello's jealousy, Hamlet's hesitation. Through them, he teaches us to understand our own flaws. Awareness gives us power to grow, change, and rise above limitations. Leave the world better than you found it. Shakespeare did not intend to be a global icon. Yet through passion and purpose, he left a legacy that changed language, literature, and culture forever. He teaches us that if we pour heart into our work, it will touch lives long after we are gone. Our greatest duty is to leave behind something meaningful: kindness, wisdom, art, or inspiration. Every human life contains a story worth telling. Shakespeare believed deeply that every person, regardless of class or status, carried a world of emotions and experiences. His plays gave voice to kings and servants alike, proving that human dignity exists in all stories. He teaches us that we should not overlook anyone's journey. Every life is filled with triumphs, fears, dreams, and lessons. When we learn to see people as stories instead of labels, we grow in empathy and wisdom. Shakespeare reminds us that the world becomes richer when we listen to the narratives hidden inside the hearts of others. Patience builds mastery. Shakespeare did not rush genius. He rewrote scenes, refined dialogue, and polished characters many times before presenting them on stage. His process teaches us that patience is essential in creating work of lasting value. In a world that celebrates speed, Shakespeare shows that true mastery requires time, attention, and dedication. When we slow down and commit to doing something well, not just quickly, we create results that endure. Patience is not delay, it is the quiet space where excellence grows. Embrace the unpredictability of life. The theaters in Shakespeare's era were regularly shut down by outbreaks of plague. His career depended on unstable audiences, shifting politics, and uncertain finances. Yet he continued writing with resilience. Life will always bring unpredictability, but Shakespeare teaches us to adapt rather than despair. When plans collapse, creativity rises. Wave and routines break. New paths appear. Flexibility and optimism are powerful companions in times of uncertainty. Serve your craft, not your ego. Shakespeare rarely wrote about himself and did not seek personal fame. His focus remained on storytelling, serving the play, the audience, and the message. This humility teaches us to honor our craft instead of chasing applause. When we create with sincerity rather than ego, our work becomes more meaningful. Shakespeare shows that greatness emerges when passion outweighs pride and when the purpose behind our work is larger than our desire for recognition. Let failure shape your wisdom, not your identity. Not all of Shakespeare's plays were celebrated in his lifetime. Some were criticized for their complexity or bold themes. Yet failure never defined him. It refined him. He learned from missteps and used them to sharpen his writing. His life teaches us to view failure as a teacher, not a verdict. Each setback carries insight that, when embraced, becomes fuel for growth. Shakespeare reminds us that failure cannot break those who rise with wisdom. Value the power of collaboration. The success of Shakespeare's plays depended on actors, stagehands, theater owners, and fellow writers. The Globe Theater itself was built by a collective effort. Shakespeare teaches us that even the brightest ideas need a supportive community. Collaboration expands creativity and strengthens vision. When we work with others, we see differently, think differently, and grow differently. Great achievements are rarely solo victories. They are shared triumphs built through unity. Embrace the complexity of emotions. Shakespeare's characters feel deeply. Love mixed with fear, ambition mixed with guilt, joy mixed with sorrow. He understood that emotions rarely arrive in simple forms. By accepting emotional complexity, we understand ourselves better and respond to life with greater maturity. Shakespeare teaches that emotional intelligence comes from acknowledging our contradictions and learning from them. Every feeling has something to teach, and none should be ignored. Let curiosity shape your voice. Shakespeare's writing reflects a mind constantly exploring ancient history, Roman politics, Italian romance, Scottish legends, and human psychology. Curiosity expanded his world beyond the limitations of his environment. He teaches us that when we feed our curiosity, through reading, observing, asking questions, we enrich our understanding of life. Curiosity sharpens creativity, strengthens intellect, and shapes a powerful voice. Human nature is the key to understanding the world. Shakespeare believed that politics, love, ambition, betrayal, and power all stem from the human heart. His plays explore universal truths that remain relevant centuries later because he understood people so deeply. He teaches us that if we want to understand society, we must first understand human nature. The more we study the heart, its dreams, fears, contradictions, the wiser we become. Art is a bridge between generations. Shakespeare wrote for the people of his time, yet his stories still resonate across cultures and centuries. He shows us that meaningful art becomes a bridge connecting past, present, and future. When we create with honesty and depth, our work lives beyond us. Shakespeare teaches us to aim for impact, not just popularity. What touches the soul today will touch the soul tomorrow. Learning never ends, even for a master. Despite his fame, Shakespeare constantly experimented with style, structure, and themes. Plays written late in his career, like The Tempest, show a more reflective, mature voice. He teaches us that mastery is not a destination, but a continuous journey. The moment we stop learning is the moment our growth ends. Curiosity, humility, and lifelong learning keep our minds alive and our talents evolving. Respect all walks of life. Shakespeare wrote about kings and peasants with equal respect. He portrayed humor, hardship, wisdom, and dignity in every social class. His work teaches us to honor the worth of every human being. No one is superior, no one insignificant. When we respect people from all backgrounds, we build a more compassionate and understanding world. Let imagination free your spirit. Shakespeare's imagination was limitless. With only words, he created storms, kingdoms, magical creatures, and unforgettable battles. His life teaches us that imagination frees us from the boundaries of reality. When we dream boldly and see beyond what exists, we unlock new potentials within ourselves. Imagination is the gateway to innovation, creativity, and hope. Words are seeds. Choose them wisely. Shakespeare understood that words hold power. They can heal, harm, inspire, or transform. He teaches us to speak thoughtfully and intentionally. Words planted with care grow into trust, connection, and understanding. Words spoken in anger or carelessness can damage deeply. Shakespeare reminds us that language is one of the greatest tools we possess, and we must wield it with wisdom. Honor the stories that shape your identity. Shakespeare often revisited themes of family, memory, and heritage. Despite his life in London, he remained connected to Stratford, returning often and investing in his hometown. He teaches us to honor our roots. Where we come from helps shape who we become. Understanding our origin gives strength to our journey. Our stories, both joyful and painful, form the foundation of our character. Let compassion guide your judgment. Shakespeare created characters who make mistakes but still evoke sympathy. He teaches us to judge less and understand more. Compassion reveals hidden struggles and softens harshness. When we see people as humans rather than problems, we offer grace instead of condemnation. Compassion does not make us weak. It makes us wise. Growth requires letting go. Many of Shakespeare's characters learn that holding on to the past, grudges, or fear prevents growth. Shakespeare himself left his hometown to pursue new opportunities. His life teaches us that sometimes letting go is the first step toward rising higher. We grow when we release what no longer serves us, old habits, limiting beliefs, or outdated expectations. Courage is quiet, not loud. Shakespeare rarely engaged in public debates or dramatic displays. His courage showed through his work, writing boldly, challenging norms, and expressing truths through story. He teaches us that courage does not always roar. Sometimes it whispers through steady action, honest expression, and creative daring. Quiet courage is often the strongest kind. Invest in what truly matters. Shakespeare used his earnings to support his family, acquire property, and secure a stable future. He valued relationships, community, and legacy over luxury. His life teaches us to invest our energy, time, and resources into what lasts: family, growth, meaningful work, and kindness. These investments bring fulfillment long after material success fades. Your legacy is written by the lives you touch. Shakespeare likely did not expect his plays to influence the world for centuries. He simply wrote with passion and purpose. Yet his words have touched millions of hearts. He teaches us that legacy is not measured by fame, but by impact. The kindness we show, the wisdom we share, and the inspiration we give become the echoes of our life. We write our legacy through people, not pages. The power of observation. Shakespeare did not write only from imagination. He wrote from a deep and patient observation of life. He watched everyone: merchants, nobles, farmers, actors, drunk men, lovers, and wanderers. Every detail became material for his unforgettable characters. The lesson for young people. Talent is born not just from genius, but from the ability to truly see the world. When you observe closely and understand the people around you, life becomes an endless treasure of inspiration and wisdom. Turning pain into art. Shakespeare lived through tragedies: loss of loved ones, outbreaks of plague, social unrest, and personal hardships. Yet instead of letting pain destroy him, he transformed it into masterpieces like Hamlet, Macbeth, and King Lear. His suffering became stories that move the world. The lesson? Life will not always be gentle, but we can choose our response. Turn sorrow into creativity, turn wounds into wisdom, and let adversity shape you into someone stronger, deeper, and more compassionate. Rising above doubt. In his time, Shakespeare was not universally respected. Many saw theater as cheap entertainment. Critics mocked him for having no university degree, no noble background, no formal literary training, but he ignored the skepticism and proved his worth through his work. The lesson: you do not need everyone to believe in you. You only need yourself. Success grows quietly inside the mind of someone who refuses to give up, even when others doubt them. Greatness from simplicity. Contrary to the myth of genius, Shakespeare lived a simple life. He was a husband, a father, an actor, and a disciplined writer working by candlelight in modest rooms. There was nothing extravagant about his lifestyle, but his imagination built worlds that still enchant humanity. The lesson: greatness does not require luxury. It requires clarity of purpose and steady dedication. Your environment does not define your destiny, your effort does. His love for humanity. What keeps Shakespeare alive across centuries is not just beautiful language, but his profound compassion for the human soul. He embraced humanity in all its contradictions, the noble and the wicked, the fragile and the brave. Every character reflects his deep understanding of what it means to be human. The lesson: accept people with their strengths and flaws. When you understand others, your creativity, empathy, and relationships all flourish. Master of the human heart. Shakespeare was not a psychologist, but he understood human emotions with astonishing depth. Here, what is siwi? Poor. A Portia, I get jealousy, ambition, love, fear, and betrayal with unmatched clarity. His characters speak truths we still recognize today. The lesson: understanding emotions, your own and others, is a powerful life skill. Emotions guide decisions, shape relationships, and define the human experience. Learn to read the heart, and you will succeed in any field. Courage to explore darkness. While many writers avoided human flaws, Shakespeare confronted them directly. He explored evil, guilt, manipulation, and moral decay through characters like Macbeth and Iago. By exposing darkness, he helped audiences understand their own vulnerabilities. The lesson: growth requires honesty. Face your weaknesses, your fears, and even your mistakes. Only by acknowledging the shadows within can you truly strengthen the light inside. Creator of new words. Shakespeare invented over 1,700 English words that are still in use today. He dared to break rules, combine ideas, and create new expressions to describe feelings no one had named before. His courage to innovate expanded the English language forever. The lesson: creativity sometimes means being unconventional. Do not fear stepping outside the norm. The world changes because someone chooses to try something new. A mind without limits. In Shakespeare's era, social class dictated destiny. The poor rarely interacted with the noble class, and most people accepted their place in society. But Shakespeare rejected these limitations. He wrote stories that spoke to everyone, from peasants to queens. The lesson: your background does not define your ceiling. Limitations are often mental, not real. A mind that believes in possibilities can rise beyond any boundary. The grace of humility. Despite fame, Shakespeare remained remarkably humble. He rarely wrote about himself and left little personal record behind. He never boasted or demanded recognition. He let his work speak instead. The lesson: true greatness does not need to shout. Humility is the virtue of those who know their worth, but do not need the world's applause to confirm it. The discipline of writing. Shakespeare wrote continuously for decades. Inspiration did not always come, but discipline did. He wrote, revised, rehearsed, and performed endlessly. His success came from daily effort, not occasional bursts of creativity. The lesson: discipline beats talent. If you want to master any skill, practice even when you don't feel inspired. Consistency turns ordinary people into extraordinary creators. Art as a mirror of society. Shakespeare used his plays to reflect the world he lived in. Corruption in Macbeth, social conflict in Romeo and Juliet, grief in Hamlet. His stories captured the truth of his era and helped audiences understand their reality. The lesson: your work becomes powerful when it speaks honestly about life. Use your creativity to reveal truth, not hide it. The beauty of diversity. Shakespeare filled his plays with every type of person imaginable. Kings, fools, poets, criminals, dreamers, and ordinary villagers. Everyone had a voice. Everyone mattered. The lesson: the world is beautiful because of its diversity. Respect differences, listen to stories unlike your own, and you will grow richer in wisdom and compassion. Resilience through crisis. During outbreaks of the plague, theaters were shut down. Shakespeare lost income and stability, but he used the quiet time to write some of his finest works. Crisis did not break him, it strengthened him. The lesson: even in hard times, you can choose growth. When circumstances limit you, creativity becomes your freedom. A lifelong desire to learn. Though he never attended university, Shakespeare was a devoted learner. He read widely, mythology, history, philosophy, and literature. He filled his mind with knowledge that later shaped his masterpieces. The lesson: education is not defined by a school building. Curiosity and self-learning can take you further than any degree. Vision beyond time. Shakespeare didn't write for just his generation. He wrote for humanity. His works explore universal themes: love, power, betrayal, hope, destiny. That is why they remain alive centuries later. The lesson: aim to create something that lasts. Think beyond today, and your contribution may inspire people long after you are gone. Belief in the power of words. Shakespeare believed that language could heal, enlighten, and transform. His plays are conversations with the human soul. Each line carries emotion, wisdom, or truth. The lesson: your words matter. Use them to lift others, not hurt them. A single sentence can change someone's day, or even their life. Love for the stage. Shakespeare was not only a writer, but also an actor. His passion for performance gave him a unique understanding of emotions, timing, and audience connection. This made his writing richer and more alive. The lesson: fully experience the things you create. When you live inside your passion, your work gains authenticity and depth. A creator, not just a dreamer. Many people of his time consumed entertainment, but Shakespeare created it. He believed theater had a purpose: to help people understand themselves. He did not wait for opportunities, he built them. The lesson: don't just wish for a better world. Create something that adds value. Be a builder, not a spectator. A legacy that lives forever. When Shakespeare died, he left behind 39 plays, 154 sonnets, and a legacy unmatched in world literature. But his true gift is the impact he left on the human spirit. His words have comforted, challenged, and inspired millions across centuries. The lesson: live in a way that your influence continues even after you are gone. Greatness is not measured by time lived, but by meaning created. A mind that embraced mystery. Shakespeare understood that not every question in life has a clear answer. In plays like Hamlet and Macbeth, he explored uncertainty, doubt, and the mysteries of the human soul. Instead of fearing the unknown, he embraced it as part of our journey. The lesson: young people should accept that life is not always predictable. Uncertainty is not a barrier, but an invitation to grow. When you allow yourself to explore mysteries without needing immediate answers, you open the door to deeper wisdom and emotional maturity. The strength of reinvention. Throughout his career, Shakespeare reinvented himself several times. Actor, poet, playwright, businessman, and theater shareholder. He never stayed confined to a single identity. Reinvention allowed his creativity to flourish and his influence to expand across society. The lesson: do not fear changing paths. Reinvention is a sign of strength, not instability. Life evolves, and so should you. The ability to grow beyond your past is one of the greatest keys to long-term success. Learning from failure. Quietly, Shakespeare faced moments when some plays failed to impress audiences. Critics mocked him, and theaters closed due to the plague. Instead of giving up or complaining, he worked silently on his craft. His answer to failure was improvement. The lesson: silence can be powerful. Not every setback needs a public reaction. Sometimes the best response is to return to your work with renewed discipline and let your progress speak louder than frustration or excuses. The value of collaboration. Despite his extraordinary talent, Shakespeare was not a solitary genius. He collaborated closely with other playwrights, actors, and theater directors. The success of the Globe Theater was a collective achievement. The lesson: collaboration amplifies greatness. You can go fast alone, but you go far together. Learning to work with others, respecting talents, sharing ideas, and supporting each other is essential for meaningful and sustainable success. Knowledge from every corner of life. Shakespeare's works reveal his love for knowledge. He learned from books, but he also learned from sailors, soldiers, lawyers, merchants, and travelers. Every person he met became a teacher in some way. The lesson: Everyone you encounter can expand your understanding of the world. Be open to learning from people of all backgrounds. Wisdom grows when you stop judging and start listening. Grace in imperfection. Shakespeare never claimed his life was perfect. He had personal conflicts, financial troubles, and moments of doubt. Yet his imperfections made his writing authentic. He embraced the messy, complicated nature of being human. The lesson: do not hide your imperfections. Use them as a source of strength and creativity. Your flaws make you relatable. Your struggles make you strong. And your resilience makes you inspiring. Humor as a path to understanding. Shakespeare used humor not just for entertainment, but as a tool to reveal truth. His comedies like Much Ado About Nothing and As You Like, it show how laughter can teach lessons about love, pride, friendship, and forgiveness. The lesson: humor heals. It breaks down walls, eases tension, and helps us understand life without harshness. When you can laugh at yourself and the world, you gain freedom and clarity. A deep respect for emotion. Shakespeare believed emotions were not weaknesses but essential parts of life. His characters express fear, rage, passion, grief, and love without shame. He understood that emotional honesty makes us human. The lesson: feel deeply. Do not suppress your emotions. Learn to understand them. Emotional intelligence is one of the greatest strengths a person can develop. The more you feel, the more alive and compassionate you become. The courage to question authority. Many of Shakespeare's works challenge the politics, moral hypocrisy, and corruption of his time. But he did so through storytelling, metaphor, and subtle criticism. He proved that truth can be told wisely, without arrogance or aggression. The lesson: question authority, but do so thoughtfully. Use intelligence, creativity, and diplomacy when facing injustice. Speaking truth requires not only bravery, but also wisdom. The beauty of balanced perspectives. Shakespeare never depicted people as purely good or evil. His characters were complex, heroes with flaws, villains with motives. He believed that understanding requires looking at every side of a situation. The lesson: avoid judging too quickly, seek balance. Try to understand before you criticize. Life is rarely black or white, and people are rarely as simple as we assume. Returning home with wisdom. Towards the end of his life, after gaining fame in London, Shakespeare returned to Stratford-upon-Avon. He went back not in defeat but in fulfillment, bringing wisdom, stability, and financial security to his family. The lesson: success is not only about rising high, it is also about returning to your roots with deeper understanding. Home becomes meaningful when you carry wisdom back to where your journey began. Respecting the power of time. Shakespeare understood that time is the greatest storyteller. His sonnets often explore how time shapes love, youth, memory, and destiny. He used time wisely, writing continuously and living with purpose. The lesson: time is your most valuable resource. Use it well. Invest it in learning, creating, and building relationships. Waste time, and you waste potential. Honor time, and life honors you. Turning observation into insight. For Shakespeare, watching people was not enough. He interpreted what he saw. His insights into jealousy, power, ambition, and love still resonate centuries later. The lesson: observation gives information, but reflection gives wisdom. Don't just see, think. Ask why people behave the way they do. Understanding the world begins with understanding human nature. Listening to the heart's whisper. Many of Shakespeare's characters face inner conflict, torn between duty, desire, fear, and conscience. Through them, he showed the importance of listening to one's inner voice. The lesson: your heart often knows the truth before your mind does. Trust your intuition, especially when making important decisions. A quiet whisper from within can guide you better than loud noise from outside. The art of patience. Shakespeare's success did not happen overnight. It took years of learning, observing, writing, failing, and improving. His journey teaches that greatness is slow-cooked, not microwaved. The lesson: be patient with yourself. Your growth may not be visible today, but every step forward matters. Patience builds strength, depth, and resilience. The importance of emotional honesty. Shakespeare's characters speak openly about their fears, hopes, and desires. Their honesty allows audiences to connect across time. The lesson, speak from the heart. Emotional honesty is not weakness, it is courage. When you express your true thoughts and feelings, you build trust, connection, and authenticity. Imagination as freedom. During Shakespeare's time, class restrictions were heavy, but imagination broke all boundaries. Through his stories, he traveled through kingdoms, forests, magical islands, and distant lands. The lesson, imagination is freedom. Even when life limits your options, your mind remains limitless. Dream boldly and let creativity carry you beyond your circumstances. The quiet power of routine. Shakespeare's brilliance was not only the result of inspiration, it was the result of routine. He wrote daily, rehearsed daily, learned daily. Routine built the foundation for his genius. The lesson, greatness is not built on occasional bursts of creativity, but on consistent daily habits. Your routine shapes your future. Respect for the past, hope for the future. Shakespeare drew inspiration from historical events, ancient myths, and old stories, but he reshaped them into something new. He honored the past without being trapped by it. The lesson, respect tradition, but keep your eyes on the future. Learn from history, then innovate. The world moves forward through those who build on what came before. The gift of leaving something behind. Shakespeare understood that words could outlive a lifetime. His legacy continues because he created something that served humanity. The lesson, carve your mark on the world. You don't need fame to leave a legacy. You only need to touch lives, share wisdom, or create something meaningful. What you give the world becomes your immortality, the enduring glow of his legacy. Shakespeare's life reminds us that a person's influence does not end with their final breath. His words still breathe, still whisper, still teach. He proved that legacy is not measured in wealth, but in impact. How deeply your ideas carve themselves into the hearts of others. His plays continue to guide people through love, grief, ambition, and forgiveness. For young people today, he shows that if you create something meaningful, something born from truth, it can outlive centuries. Legacy is built day by day, with courage and devotion to your craft. The final years of quiet reflection. During his last years in Stratford, Shakespeare stepped back from the stage. He spent more time with his family, walking along the River Avon, reflecting on a life that had taken him from a small-town boy to a world-changing storyteller. These quiet years remind us that even the greatest achievers need peace, moments to breathe, restore, and reconnect. Success means little if life is always noise. Shakespeare teaches young people to cherish stillness, for it fuels creativity, gratitude, and inner strength. The timeless relevance of his themes. Shakespeare's works endure because they explore timeless human truths. Love that heals, jealousy that destroys, ambition that blinds, forgiveness that liberates. His stories show that technology changes, societies change, but the human heart stays the same. Young people can learn that understanding emotions, your own and others, is key to navigating life. Shakespeare teaches emotional literacy long before the term existed. His characters mirror us, urging us to reflect, grow, and choose empathy. The power of universal language. Though Shakespeare lived over 400 years ago, his words still cross borders, cultures, and ages. His ability to speak to everyone, rich or poor, scholar or farmer, shows the true power of universal language. He reminds young creators that your voice can reach far if it speaks from authenticity and humanity. You do not need to imitate others. You need only to speak truth. People recognize sincerity. Shakespeare's life encourages us to write, speak, and create with honesty. A master of reinvention. Shakespeare constantly reinvented himself. Actor, poet, playwright, businessman, theater partner, storyteller of kings and clowns alike. He never stayed in one place creatively. For young people, his life is proof that reinvention is not failure. It is evolution. You are allowed to explore, change direction, experiment. Every new version of yourself might unlock a door you didn't know existed. Shakespeare's courage to evolve made him immortal in literature. Lessons from his sonnets. Shakespeare's sonnets teach us to observe the world with tenderness. They celebrate beauty but also confront aging, betrayal, time, and the fragility of human connections. For young people, the sonnets are reminders that vulnerability is not weakness, it is wisdom. The courage to express feelings honestly makes you stronger, not smaller. Shakespeare used poetry to transform personal struggles into universal comfort. You too can turn pain into art. The courage to challenge norms in a society with rigid rules. Shakespeare dared to question authority, tradition, and morality. He wrote about kings' corruption, lovers breaking social barriers, fools speaking uncomfortable truths, and ordinary people defying power. His boldness teaches young people that progress requires questioning, asking why things are the way they are and whether they should stay so. Innovation begins with curiosity and a fearless mind. His influence on modern storytelling, whether in movies, novels, theater, or even everyday expressions, Shakespeare's fingerprints are everywhere. Filmmakers borrow his structures, writers emulate his emotional depth, comedians echo his humor. His legacy teaches young creators that one mind can influence entire generations of storytelling. It is a reminder that your creative work may inspire people you will never meet. Dream boldly. Your ideas might one day shape the world. A life that honored imagination. Shakespeare proved that imagination is not escapism, it is power. Through imagination, he built kingdoms, storms, witches, lovers, and tragedies. He turned the stage into a universe. Young people today, often pressured by practicality, can take from Shakespeare the courage to dream big. Imagination is a tool for survival, growth, and transformation. Use it bravely. It can build bridges where logic sees walls. Understanding human complexity. Shakespeare's characters are never one-dimensional. Heroes have flaws, villains have wounds, and fools often hold wisdom. He understood that people are complex and unpredictable. Young people can learn not to judge too quickly. Everyone carries unseen stories. Compassion allows us to see deeper than appearances. Shakespeare teaches that understanding others begins with humility and empathy. The beauty of language. Shakespeare shaped the English language, adding hundreds of new words and expressions. His creativity with language shows that words are not just tools. They are colors, textures, music. Young people can learn to appreciate how language shapes thoughts and worlds. When you speak with intention, you influence hearts. When you choose words carefully, you elevate your ideas. Shakespeare proves that linguistic beauty can change cultures. The gift of imperfection. Shakespeare himself made mistakes, historical errors, inconsistent story details, uneven plots. But his work remains admired. His life teaches young people that perfection is not required to create greatness. What matters is passion, persistence, and faith in your message. An imperfection does not diminish genius. It humanizes it. Shakespeare teaches us to embrace flaws as part of the artistic journey. The meaning of endurance. Shakespeare's works survived plagues, wars, censorship, and centuries of change. They endure because they speak to something eternal in us. His legacy teaches young people that what endures is not the loudest or the most fashionable. It is the most truthful. Endurance is built from authenticity, emotional honesty, and craftsmanship. Create with depth and your work will stand the test of time. Lessons from his tragedies. In tragedies like Hamlet or King Lear, Shakespeare teaches that human flaws, ignorance, pride, insecurity, stubbornness, can destroy lives. But he also shows that self-awareness can save us. Young people can learn to study their own weaknesses, not to fear them, but to grow beyond them. Shakespeare's tragedies warn us to listen, reflect, and choose wisely. Lessons from his comedies. Shakespeare's comedies celebrate joy, forgiveness, confusion, and second chances. They remind us not to take life too seriously. Mistakes can turn into blessings. Misunderstandings can lead to laughter. Young people can learn that humor is a powerful survival tool. A light heart often sees solutions that a heavy heart cannot. Shakespeare teaches us to seek joy even in chaos. The importance of emotional intelligence. Shakespeare intuitively understood emotions centuries before psychology existed. His characters navigate jealousy, guilt, loyalty, sacrifice, and desire with striking realism. Young people can learn that emotional intelligence, recognizing and managing emotions, is essential to success and peace. Shakespeare's stories are emotional maps that guide us through life's storms. The lesson of patience. Shakespeare's success did not happen overnight. He spent years honing his craft, learning the theater, working through failures. His life teaches young people that true mastery requires patience. Growth is slow but meaningful. When you commit to learning step by step, you build something strong. Shakespeare reminds us to trust the journey, not chase shortcuts. His relationship with time. Many of Shakespeare's works explore the pressure of time, its ability to age, heal, or destroy. He understood that time is both enemy and ally. Young people can learn that time is precious but not to be feared. Use it wisely. Build, learn, love, and forgive while you can. Shakespeare teaches that though time may take many things, it cannot take meaning. The value of collaboration. Shakespeare worked with actors, writers, theater owners, and musicians. Many plays were shaped through teamwork. He teaches young people that collaboration expands creativity. When you work with others, you see new perspectives, avoid blind spots, and build bigger dreams. Shakespeare's success was not solitary, it was communal. The courage to address darkness. Shakespeare didn't avoid dark themes: murder, betrayal, madness, despair. He believed that confronting darkness helps us understand light. Young people can learn that acknowledging difficult emotions is part of healing. Avoiding pain doesn't remove it. Facing it does. Shakespeare teaches us to look at our shadows honestly so we can rise above them. A voice for the common people. Though celebrated by royalty, Shakespeare never forgot ordinary people. He filled his plays with workers, soldiers, servants, fools, and dreamers. He valued every voice. Young people today can learn that greatness includes humility, recognizing the worth of all people. Shakespeare teaches that wisdom is not limited to the powerful. The celebration of love in all forms. From Romeo and Juliet to Twelfth Night, Shakespeare explored love: romantic, familial, unrequited, sacrificial. Love is messy, unpredictable, transformative. Young people can learn that love is worth the effort. It requires patience, understanding, and vulnerability. Shakespeare teaches that despite heartbreaks, love remains life's most powerful force. The importance of curiosity. Shakespeare was endlessly curious about politics, history, psychology, nature, and human behavior. His curiosity fueled his genius. Young people can learn that curiosity expands your world. When you ask questions, explore ideas, and challenge your limits, you grow. Shakespeare teaches that curiosity is the root of creativity, the role of humor in hard times. Even in tragedies, Shakespeare added humor, moments of relief that remind us that laughter heals. He teaches young people that humor is a form of resilience. Lightness helps us survive heavy seasons. When life feels overwhelming, a smile can be strength. Shakespeare knew that laughter and sorrow coexist, shaping our humanity. His influence on ethics and morality Shakespeare didn't preach, he revealed. Through his characters, he explored moral dilemmas: power versus justice, ambition versus integrity, revenge versus forgiveness. Young people can learn to think deeply, question ethically, and make choices aligned with values. Shakespeare teaches that morality is not black and white. It's a journey of discernment. The spirit of gratitude, as Shakespeare often wrote of blessings, friendship, beauty, nature, memory. He teaches young people to appreciate the simple things. Gratitude turns ordinary moments into treasures. Shakespeare's life, filled with both success and struggle, shows that gratitude softens hardship and enriches joy, a vision of human potential. Shakespeare believed in humanity's capacity for greatness and destruction. His stories challenge young people to choose wisely, to build, not break, to heal, not harm. He believed that within each person lies infinite potential. Your choices shape who you become. Shakespeare urges you to rise to your best self. The gift of self-expression. Shakespeare expresses emotions that many people feel but cannot articulate. His life teaches that self-expression is a pathway to understanding and healing. Young people today can use writing, art, music, or speech to explore their inner worlds. Shakespeare proves that expressing your truth can touch millions. The peace of returning home. After conquering London's stages, Shakespeare returned to his hometown. It shows that after great journeys, home still holds meaning. Young people can learn that success doesn't require abandoning your roots. Returning home, literally or emotionally, brings clarity and peace. Shakespeare found comfort in familiarity after a life of creativity. The final lesson: art outlives the artist. Shakespeare passed away in 1616, but his spirit lives on in every classroom, stage, and story touched by his words. His final lesson: what you create, who you uplift, and how you live can echo long after you're gone. Young people can learn that life is short, but impact is timeless. Create boldly, love deeply, think freely. Your legacy begins now.